If you were a teenager between the years of 2010 and 2017, congrats! You were there for the peak of teen dystopia. The Hunger Games, Maze Runner, Divergent, and way too many more of these books turned movie absolutely dominated the culture. To a generation watching their parents succumb, finally, to lead poisoning and TDS, the idea of teenage outcasts toppling the fascistic totalitarian government was appealing. The obsession was only enhanced by fans who did a crazy amount of organic marketing for these studios. Tumblr and fan fiction sites acted as filler between releases of new canon media, effectively giving us a non-stop stream of our favorite characters doing both normal shit and freak shit. And in most cases, our collective focus was on our protagonists, which is like, yeah, of course. The villains in teen dystopia were unappealing to the target demographic. They're not rogues or cool, suave psychopaths, they're just like your dad. The antagonists of teen dystopia are still interesting though, despite their limited exposition. They often have a mix of two primary traits that will pretty much be all we get. Wants to maintain power, and feels that their grasp on power is threatened by this teenager that they are somewhat impressed by. It's not one size fits all, but they're all pretty close to this. The majority of what we know about our antagonists comes from their interactions with our protagonists. They might try to blackmail them like Janine Matthews in Divergent, or manipulate and redirect the rage of our hero the way that Colonel Graff does in Ender's Game, though he is an outlier in many, many ways. And while their motivations may seem pretty limited, I feel like they're holding back. How did these people fail? Not only do they have the power of the state on their side, but the majority of these worlds are far more advanced than our own. Just using the logic of real-world fascists, how could they have avoided their empires crumbling altogether? Let's start with Divergent, probably the least successful franchise of the bunch given they just sort of called it quits with one movie to go. A major slap in the face to those of us who love bad movies and wanted that last Divergent movie bad. Chicago has been broken up into 5 different zones based on Hogwarts rules. Abnegation, the selfless, Candor, the honest, Amity, the peaceful, Dauntless, the brave, and Erudite. Erudite, the intelligent. Not me, apparently. Holy shit. I should really find out which house I'm in, or which community. Our main character, Triss, obviously isn't a direct match for any of the factions and is not like other girls. She is Divergent. An issue for our antagonist, Janine Matthews, who sees Divergent as dangerous simply because they're not predictable. They think too freely, they don't conform. And that's where I start to take issue. If the elites know that the Divergent are immune to traditional control, why do they go straight to violence? Why not just do what real-world power structures do? The Divergent would have been incredibly easy to co-opt with just a little ego stroking and a little more moral ambiguity. Instead, they just start like torturing them and shit, which is like, that's not going to get anything done. And what I'm proposing isn't dissimilar to what President Snow does in the Hunger Games, which I guess now's the time I say this, I'm doing this all from memory. Some of these I have read or watched more recently, and some of them, like Divergent, it's been a while. You probably already know the Hunger Games, but let's do this anyway. The purpose of the games is to divide the proletariat and punish them for a rebellion that happened decades earlier. It shows the people of the capital only the most violent and savage portrayals of the working class, further discouraging empathy for the people on their holographic screens. In addition to that, it acts as a sort of lottery for its participants, a chance to leave their life of turmoil behind and live in luxury with all their needs covered by the state. This is where the idea of hope comes in, which, to quote President Snow, "It's the only thing stronger than fear. A little hope is effective, a lot of hope is dangerous. A spark is fine as long as it's contained. So contain it." So, the Hunger Games are effective, and while there were certainly some rebellious enclaves around Panem, Katniss was the spark needed to bring them together. To this I must ask, why the hell didn't President Snow just have a political decoy for Katniss? You're telling me you can make dogs grow from the ground, but you can't make someone look a little bit like Jennifer Lawrence? I know people who look like Jennifer Lawrence. This woman is a fucking cat. You have the means, you have the technology. Not that you even need it. When did most of the citizens in Panem even see her up close? They're either looking at her from the stage or from one of these hologram TVs, and man, really taking a risk with that line, assuming I can figure out how to do the hologram TV of my own. Alright, make it work. Don't embarrass me. Oh, but her family would know. Kill him. You killed Hamish's family, what's the difference? Kill him, you know? I know he didn't want her to become a martyr, but nobody would have known. Just replace her. Everyone from Saddam Hussein to Queen Elizabeth II had body doubles. And that's in our world, where almost nobody looks like a cat. You can still do your weird battle arena thing, dude, just make a more compliant Katniss first. Threatening her family or whatever was just wasted time, and you deserve to fail. For more reasons than incompetence in this case. You shouldn't have been doing any of this. Another point of clarification here, I don't want to completely erase the premise of these stories. The Hunger Games is about the Hunger Games. Some people go way too far with this and end up just making it so that the story couldn't exist at all. We're just patching plot holes here, not demoing the whole concept if we can help it. Which brings me to another teen dystopian arena, Maze Runner, which we're gonna have to demo this, I'm sorry. Dr. Ava Page saw the end of the world and took action by torturing the only hope for humanity. Not exactly peer-reviewed science. The world is being wiped out by a brain-eating virus called the Flare. To find the cure, an organization called WICKED, which means World in Catastrophe Kill Zone Experiment Department, which, that's a stretch, creates freak-ass experiments to study how immune and non-immune brains respond to stress. One of these experiments is the Maze, a giant walled structure full of monsters called Grievers. The kids inside are test subjects, some of them immune to the flare, and some of them are the control group. They're monitored as they try to escape, with runners mapping the maze daily. The setup is basically a behavioral trial on teenagers framed like a dystopian escape room. Wicked claims this is all to test how the immune brain reacts under extreme stress. The maze lab rat analogy is obvious, but the exact purpose of the maze is never really explained to any level that leaves me satisfied. They're basically doing two things here: killing immune children for fun and creating super soldiers with a grudge. I'm not breaking new ground here with this one either. Even fans of the series don't really get why they're doing this, so if I were to give any advice to Dr. Ava Page without scrapping the entire premise of the story, maybe just do it normal. Like, don't kill these kids. Like, you know, maybe if the kids survive, move to a more IRS letter in your USPS informed delivery type of stress, rather than, you know, get this, putting them into a bigger maze when they succeed. That's what happens. When they get out of the first one, they just go into a bigger, scarier maze. The maze is a glorified obstacle course that kills half the test subjects and delivers no concrete progress towards a cure. Honestly, there is nothing that Dr. Ava Page could have done to make this thing make any sense. It's like if you got to the end of The Last of Us Part 1 and they do the thing where they're like, oh, we gotta kill Ellie to test her brain or whatever, and there was just some guy in the corner who's like, before we do that, it is field day and I need a partner for the four-legged race. Then you can kill her. What's the fucking point? It makes no sense, but that doesn't mean we can't find other ways to control people, like in The Giver. The Giver's source material came out decades earlier, but it did have a movie made about it in 2014. If you're someone who read The Giver in high school and then forgot about it, let me be the first to tell you that there's 4 books in total, one for each of the author's fears. The later entries strip the ambiguity from the ending of The Giver and expand the universe into a sort of battle mage war of good and evil. The baby from the first book, Gabe, has the supernatural ability of telepathic empathy, which isn't as cool as Maddie from the third book, who can cast healing magic on allies, which will instantly restore the health of the target by 75 points. Anyway, the first and only book, in my mind, is The Giver, so let's continue. We don't really have a conventional villain here, as Meryl Streep is just a figurehead maintaining the status quo, so for this one, the community is our antagonist. Here we follow Jonas, a child who is tasked with carrying all of the emotional baggage for his community. Due to a semi-unique ability to see beyond the Matrix, he's chosen to remember humanity's true past so others don't have to. Training for his role with the previous receiver, Jeff Bridges, now promoted to Giver. He starts absorbing real human experiences and eventually realizes the true cost of sameness. This is a society without pain, war, color, or choice. Everything is regulated. Family units are assigned, careers are chosen for you. Emotions are suppressed with daily pills, and even death is rebranded into release. Learning that last detail, Jonas freaks out a little bit and begins working on a plan with the Giver where he will escape the community, and once he's far enough away, all the memories he carries will be released, for some reason, and flood back into the heads of everyone back home. I do not care for the Giver. The plan is accelerated when he learns that his father is going to release a baby that's been crashing with them for a little while, so he bails early, taking baby Gabe with him, triggering the memory flood, and we're left with really no information on how that works out. So Jonas is the receiver as a matter of genetics, but it's not like there can only be one person capable of doing this at any given time. The Giver's daughter was qualified 10 years earlier, but underwent a voluntary release after experiencing the memory of when Walmart stopped being open 24 hours. So they can have more than one at a time, but just don't for some reason. Because of the previous receiver's departure, the elders are aware that when a receiver is gone, the memories they hold flood into the population. So why the hell are they not doing one of two things? A lone teenage boy is the dam holding back the memories of sledding. Bullshit. Either lock up the receiver data center style or create a council of uniquely qualified individuals to hold these memories. Why the hell is just one 11, 18 in the movie, year-old boy doing this? Again, I don't like The Giver, so I'm going to be very harsh with it. It's just not my kind of dystopia. It's a little too high fantasy for me. On the flip side, we have Ready Player One, a sci-fi story focused entirely on nostalgia where everyone remembers everything but only from a 15 or so year stretch at the end of the 20th century. In Ready Player One, our protagonist Wade Watts is on a quest to escape poverty by finding all the Easter eggs left behind by James Halliday, the founder of the massive VR world, The Oasis. These Easter eggs come in the form of keys that act as a will for the late founder of the game. Once put together, one talented gunter will be awarded ownership and complete control over the multi-billion-dollar property. Despite Halliday's clear love for 1980s nostalgia, the hints are not clear enough and no real progress is made in the Oasis gunt until Wade pulls a move almost too obvious for it to have taken 5 years. I'm just saying, if people figured out you could jump from this barrel in Whiterun and circle the city wall to get under the map and rob the Skyforge blind, I think someone would have found this key just by accident within days. Considering the Oasis has billions of players and it's free, it's not like they have to pay to gunt. It's not like this real world hell that we live in where we have to fucking pay to gunt. That's not important though. We're here for the villain, Nolan Sorrento, the CEO of Innovative Online Industries. He wants to own the Oasis and do away with its free-to-play model in exchange for a paid subscription service or something. Following Wade's successful gunt, Sorrento tries to recruit him to his own team, which at this point consists largely of an indentured gamer army as well as regular employees called Sixers and some contracted mercenaries. Wade rejects this offer, leading to the immediate firebombing of his real home, something that people do, unfortunately, in real life. But just like in real life, you're not allowed to do that, and Sorrento ends up arrested for this as well as trying to shoot Wade depending on the medium. Sorrento could have won the day here by simply being less showy with his IRL violence. This is a world where nearly everyone is blindfolded literally all of the time. If you're gonna kill someone, let's take a look at one of the greatest video games ever made, Hitman: World of Assassination. Would you look at that? Nobody noticed, and this dude could actually see the world around him. Sorrento could have easily just done normal capitalism in the Oasis and probably made even more money than the game was even worth by doing the same unethical shit that our real life billionaires do. So, is there even one competent villain in teen dystopia? Yes. Ender's Game is a stupid book where a 6-year-old kills people, but the movie earned its 63% on Rotten Tomatoes by being visually impressive, well acted, and wildly hard to follow due to its frankly silly pacing. If you haven't seen it, imagine 20 minutes of children playing laser tag followed by our main character Ender, who in the movie is consistently 12, being promoted in the Child Space Force, and then repeat that several times and top it off with one of the best final acts in all of teen dystopia. That's Ender's Game. Harrison Ford plays Colonel Graff and is not exactly an antagonist in the traditional sense, but he's not a good man either. He's the head of Battle School, and he takes a special interest in Ender's white rage, viewing his desire to not only break bones but also spirits as the very thing needed to finally end a war that had ended 50 years earlier. Colonel Graff wants to avoid another attack from an alien race called the Formic and cites unconfirmed weapons of mass destruction as justification for launching an offensive attack on their entire population. Throughout the story, he manipulates and feeds Ender's most fucked up impulses while deliberately withholding any sort of attention to this boy's mental health. This all culminates in giving Ender control of his own fleet of child soldiers and running what they believe are simulations to demonstrate their space dogfighting abilities. When Ender and his fleet finally win the day, it's revealed that they were remote piloting real warships above the Formic planet and had just committed a species-wide genocide, making Colonel Graff our most competent antagonist. Fucking effortlessly. It took nothing from him. All he had to do was not let this kid talk to a counselor. All he had to do was keep this kid away from therapy. Easy. Light work, dude. He probably didn't even want to go to therapy. He was living for this. Look at him. He's thrilled. While Graff does face some scrutiny for his methods and does face some sort of trial, everyone eventually gets over it, and Colonel Hiram Graff is elected to be some sort of important government something, while Ender takes off into space to rebuild the Formic population using an egg left behind by their queen. I have no notes for Colonel Graff. He gets results. But we do have an antagonist loser from Ender's Game still. It's author Orson Scott Card, who was defeated by 5 of the 9 Supreme Court justices in 2015. Man, what fun we had today. I'm gonna ruin it by reading a poem by Ernest Cline, the author of Ready Player One. Nerd porn auteur. I've noticed that there don't seem to be any porno movies that are made for guys like me. All the porn I've come across was targeted at beer-swilling, sports bar-dwelling alpha males. Men who like their women stupid and submissive. Men who can only get it up for monosyllabic, cock-hungry nymphos, with gargantuan breasts and 3-word vocabulary. Adult films are populated with these collagen-injected, liposuctioned women, many of whom have resorted to surgery and self-mutilation in an attempt to look the way that they have been told to look. These aren't real women, they're objects. And these movies aren't erotic, they're pathetic. These vacuum-headed fuck bunnies don't turn me on, they disgust me. And it's not that I'm against pornography, I mean, I'm a guy, and guys need porn. Fact. Like a preacher needs pain. Like a needle needs the vein. Guys need porn. But I don't want to watch this misogynistic he-man, woman-hater porn. I want porno movies that are made with guys like me in mind. Guys who know that the sexiest thing in the world is a woman who is smarter than you are. You can have the whole cheerleading squad. I want the girl in the tweed skirt and the horn-rimmed glasses. Betty Findowski, the valedictorian. Oh yes. First, I want to copy her trig homework. And then, I want to make mad, passionate love to her for hours and hours, until she reluctantly asks if we can stop, because she doesn't want to miss Battlestar Galactica. But do you ever see that kind of woman in a contemporary adult film? No. Which is why I'm going to start writing and directing geek porno. I shall be the quintessential nerd porn auteur. And the women in my porno movies will be the kind that drive nerds like me mad with desire. I'm talking about girls that used to fuck up the grading curve. The girls in the Latin Club and the National Honor Society. Chicks with weird clothes, braces, 4 eyes, and 4.0 GPAs. Brainy, articulate bookworms with Mensa cards in their purses and a chip on their shoulder. My porn starlets will come in all shapes and sizes. My porn starlets will be too busy working on their PhD to go to the gym. In my kind of porno movies, the girls wouldn't even have to get naked. They'd just take guys down to the rec room and beat them repeatedly at chess. And then talk to them for hours about Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, or the underlying social metaphors in the Aliens movies. Buy stock in some hand cream companies because there's about to be a major shortage. And I'm not just talking about straight porn, oh no. There should be fuck films for my nerd brethren of all sexual orientations. Gay nerd porn flick with titles like Dungeons and Drag Queens. This idea is a fucking goldmine. I am gonna make millions. Because this country is full of database programmers and electronics engineers, and they aren't getting the loving they so desperately need. And you can help. If you're an intelligent woman interested in breaking into the adult film industry, and if you can tell me the name of Luke Skywalker's home planet, then you are hired. It doesn't matter if you think you're overweight or unattractive. It doesn't matter if you don't think you're beautiful. You are beautiful, and I will make you a star. So what the fuck?